All right, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order, the Personnel Administration Committee of the Monroe County Council. This meeting for Tuesday, October 5th, 2021, here at 12:03 p.m. We have on our agenda today a total of 7 items, about 4 of substance, significant substance. And I want to be mindful of not only council members' time, but also the department heads that are with us. I know they have a lot of headaches and things to deal with. So with that note, we're going to move to item number 2. And this is a discussion and review of significant job description changes. And before we get into this, it has been, and I'll ask Michelle if she wants to elaborate further on this. And I suspect she'll have some things to offer us. But during our recent WIS process that we're still really undergoing, that there were job description changes where some significance had not at least been discussed on the public record for some public discussion, at least among council members receiving that. Lots of discussion, of course, with department heads, WIS, and even perhaps council office, but we had not formally had that here. And so this will be a discussion of some of those significant changes, and we'll just invite for information to come before us at this point so that we have that public portion. Michelle, I'll let you jump in on this or add to this as you see fit.
Yes, that is correct. What happened was during the process of working with WIS and working on job descriptions, departments met with WIS several times and this kind of thing on things that they would like to see included within their job descriptions. And we asked for a list, excuse me, we asked for a list from WIS of positions that had significant changes. And with that, Margie and I went through the list and we identified a handful of jobs. Then we did some, excuse me. So then we reached out to WIS and got some clarification on some of them. But one of them that stood out was the family court coordinator, which has now has been upgraded per the request and WIS, family court mediator director. And that has been changed with a degree where it's been moved now to an attorney degree. And I don't know what that phraseology is. Margie would know that. Margie, do you want to elaborate? I see you're on here now. But with that, we wanted to bring that to the PAC Council's attention, that this was, I don't believe it's a requirement for this position, but it was a request of the department.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Rice, do you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Hello. Yeah, sorry, I was in my office talking with another one of the attorneys. Are you talking about the court mediator?
Yes.
Yeah, family court coordinator.
Yeah, so we just wanted to bring that one to your attention because this is a request by the department. We want to make sure that we put it under your noses. You take a look at it, you make a conscious decision about the educational change. So you know, if you want to accept it as it is, just that you're fully aware that the current job description that we've been operating under has only had a bachelor's degree. With this process that we just went through, the department has requested the job description have a JD as a requirement. The person, as I understand it, in the position has always had a JD, but we've been operating with the sort of bachelor's requirement during that tenure. So it's totally your call. And, you know, obviously after talking with the department, and I think probably the department's here, but we wanted to make sure that, you know, we don't get down the road 5 years from now and somebody say like, hey, how did that change get made? That you guys are aware of it. Because the practical implication of the change is that with the current WIS recommendations, it will go from an EXC to SO. And there's I don't know, Kim, you know the math better than I do, but it's a $20,000, $30,000 change in salary. Is that right?
It's going from a PAT.
From a PAT. So it'll go from a PAT to an SO. What is the recommended change in salary for that one? So it had an educational change and a big change, price tag change with it.
Yes.
So we wanted to draw it to your attention to make sure that you were aware that if you accept that you're also accepting that price tag, so that nobody's confused.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ms. Rice. Councilor Spoonmore, you had a question?
A question and a comment. So did we get any feedback from WIS on what a potential way to address this would be?
No, we did not, but we certainly can ask them if they have, recommendations. They've put it in here just as this is what the department wants, and
yeah,
I think you can accept it or not accept it. If you wanted us to get back with them, with other questions, we certainly can do that.
Yeah, because, and then this is kind of getting into my comment, this is a pretty sizable increase of pay that would be associated with this. And, that's something that the council absolutely needs to be aware of and have the ability to weigh in on. And I don't think that process is fully played out, probably the way that it should have at this point. Kim?
What I wanted to say is the cost related to this is $23,000.
Okay. Is there anyone from the courts here that wanted to speak to this? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see Councilor Hawk's hand. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I think we have to be very cautious that we look at what might be someone's suggested requirement is for education. While I appreciate that many people are working hard to get higher education, that's the job description and job requirements for education should be looked at for that particular job. And also because we see what happened before when we were kind of had a smackdown on that one where we were trying to add something on there. So I think we have to be careful because you have to treat everyone the same. And if this department, and I don't remember which department we're talking about now, and that doesn't matter. If one department gets to throw in there, okay, we want them to have higher education, which then will require more dollars to pay them. Then another department's going to come along and say the same thing. So, and once you've done it, you have to continue to do it. So I'm just saying, I think we have to look at it like that as well, taking everything into consideration.
Do we have anyone from courts here that wanted to speak to this? It's going to be held, I believe, well, all of this is just discussion for other things, but Kim, shall go ahead.
I was gonna say, I did reach out to Lisa Abraham and she said that she is off today. So I don't see anybody else on the list.
Okay. Well, we've got questions to ask WIS. It sounds like we can, this can come back for further discussion either before us or before council. I mean, this is a budgetary issue. Ms. Rice?
Yeah, I was going to point out what you just said. I think that this is a financial decision that that ultimately you ought to take to the council for their input. Remember that these are the kinds of decisions that statutorily PAC, in our case, we have PAC recommend to the council, but ultimately the council gets to decide, because it's the kind of thing that you say, yeah, if I make this decision, then I'm committing the $23,000 to that. And you might say we need to spend that $23,000 somewhere else. So we can't make this decision right now or aren't willing to make this decision right now. Or you say, yes, I do want to make that decision, and the council says, yep, we'll make that, and we're willing to pay that $23,000 price tag that goes with it. So I do think that this is a conversation that ultimately, after, we track down any information you want, that you end up talking with full council about and understanding, the decisions you're making, that they're the budgetary decisions you're making.
Okay, I've got Councilor Spoonmore next, then Councilor Hawk.
Yeah, so, and I don't think I'm ready to make any kind of decision on this now. I think in addition to some of the information from WIS, I would also like us to be able to, get in touch with Ms. Abram and see, what exactly is the Juris Doctorate degree in this position allowing us to do that the bachelor's degree wasn't before, and what is the added value and impact from that. So those are questions that I have before I can kind of come to any final determination on this one. But I would appreciate her. I think we need to give her the opportunity certainly to weigh in on this too.
Okay. If no further discussion on this, I think we move now to the second. Oh, sorry, Ms. Hawk. Sorry.
Yes, I want to make sure that we're clear. This is not just a budgetary decision, because it's a recommendation whether or not we believe this job description is correct. That's our job, to make a recommendation on that. And so then we need to have it determined who determines officially what, as Councilmember Spoonmore said, what kind of educational requirements it would take to perform that job. And we can't just start adding more and more things onto the job description that isn't necessary to perform the job. And that goes for every department. I'm not talking about this particular one, just in general.
Thank you very much. Any other comments on this particular item? Sorry, I didn't mean to jump off of it. Well, let's move on then to the second item that we've listed that's not got a strike through, and that's the jail new position liaison correctional officer. And Michelle, do you have anything to add to this one, or Ms. Rice?
No, Kim, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
Do we want to? I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
I was going to say,
No, go ahead.
I just know that it is not necessarily a new position. It is a current correctional officer with liaison duties added, is what my understanding is from Sam.
Okay.
So, but I don't see him on here either. So.
Okay. Anyone from jail here that wishes to comment on this? Seeing none, any discussion from counselors or comments? Yes, Ms. Hawk.
Liaison to, I think I remember reading that. Was that liaison to state officials, or I forget what it said.
That's what it was.
I mean, if they're adding a new duty on, we need to know what that duty is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could find that out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Other comments on this? Sounds like we have more follow-up there. Councilor Spoonmore.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it would be good to also get Commander Crow's input as well too, kind of, as you know,
right.
with all of these. I think that's going to be important for our decision making, to just kind of better understand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any further discussion on this jail item here? Bless you. Seeing none, let's move on. We have a third prosecutor administrative assistant manager. Michelle, you and I had talked before, and I also had talked with Ms. Hamlin. You have a note on this one. What can you give us an update here?
Yes. Prior to the meeting, Margie went on vacation. So I was going by a list that I had with regards to a discussion. This one was one of them because it was going from administrative assistant at a Comet to an administrative manager which then made it a PAT. So then, let's see, I'm trying to find.
Got the email pulled up. Do you want me to read it? Kim?
Yeah, I thought I had it right here, so.
So Addie Rooker said that the administrative manager was classified in the PAT job category due to the nature and broad scope of the duties and the required bachelor's degree and certifications. Our factoring team factored the position in both the common and PAT job categories. Based on our assessment of the position, they found the position fit best with the PAT job category. This one seemed like a pretty straightforward factoring decision by WIS that I thought was, again, straightforward. But if you have questions about it, if you want to talk to the department, you might keep this on the list to talk to the department about sort of what their changes were. If you want to, and Kim had it on the list because we kind of went through the list about which ones had more significant changes. So I think your choice here is to either accept it or to keep it on the list and talk to the department about it.
In fact, we have Beth Hamlin here. So Beth has got her hand up. I'll call on her next if she wants to say something.
Sure. I just wanted to clarify that the change in the position name from administrative assistant to administrative manager was done by WIS. That was not something that we recommended. They changed the name and the classification based on the duties, which, to be honest, the job description was not changed significantly. It was altered a little bit to better align it with what the duties have become, which is a lot of backing up several of our departments that don't have assistants in them. But yeah, this was not an increase that we pursued. We were surprised to see it, to be honest.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hamlin. I'll go now to questions or comments from PAC members or anyone else, I guess. Yes, Councilor Spoonmore.
So this one, and thanks to Ms. Hamlin for that information. This one makes sense to me, and I think that I'm comfortable with this if we want to continue to have further discussions about it. But I think that's really the value of having the department leaders here to kind of talk through some of this with us. So I'm fine with this one, but we'll defer to my colleagues as well too.
Yeah. Councilor Hawk.
Yes, I agree. It's important to have the department representative here so that if we have questions and if it's clear, it makes sense to us, we pass it on. Of course, we're only a recommending body. We don't make any decisions really, but yes, I think it's important to have somebody here to represent your department.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Hamlin.
Councilman
Go ahead.
Dave Hamilton. Anybody remember Dave Hamilton?
Yeah.
I do.
If the department head wasn't here, we didn't hear it. It was like, move on. You didn't even listen to it. So that's why we didn't have Pat, I think, but whatever.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on this item? It has been properly heard then. With it looks like we got some homework on item 2 overall. We can follow up on that, and further information can be got for both PAC members and, of course, council, one and the same. I'm going to move us on then to item number 3, and this is a review of classification recommendations for the highway department. And I know that Toby Turner is here and lowered down on the item. We also have some that might be for Kelsey Titonia. But we'll start with this first item that we have, and I believe administrative assistant does that fall under that's stormwater? All right, so we'll start then with that, the administrative assistant position. And Michelle, can you give it just remind us, this had been sent off, we've received recommendation back from WIS, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. At the September meeting, Highway had come to PAC requesting this additional position to the stormwater department. PAC then, with a positive recommendation, moved forward to WIS for classification and to create this job description, because it doesn't, at that time, did not have a job description for this position. So we have received that recommendation back, and we are now back at council for this review.
All right, thank you very much for that. And I believe, Ms. Titonia, do you have anything to add to this particular job description that we've received back from WIS?
I don't have any changes. The job description is complete and I've reviewed it again and everything looks good to me. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Counselors, do you have questions or comments? Yes, Counselor Spoonmore.
I agree that, and after reviewing it, I think this all looks good. We'll see if Councilor Hawk has any questions or concerns, but I'll likely be making a motion here in a moment.
Okay, Counselor Hawk.
Yes, one of the concerns that I shared earlier was that the departments seem to be coming to us and saying, well, we have to make this a 40-hour position because, oh, Y and Z is a 40-hour position. Well, we really, this county cannot, we don't have the funds to make everybody a 40-hour position. And it would be my hope, I'm not just saying this department, I'm saying any department that says they want 40 hours, they have to make certain that they really need the 40 hours. And especially with stormwater, when we know our revenue is not going to be going up, it's going to be reduced. So that, however, is a budgetary consideration, not our consideration. But I'm just putting that out there as something that I've been concerned about.
Okay.
Not this, but just in general, we've seen that happen.
Okay. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Councilor Spoonmore.
Thanks. And thanks also to Councilor Hawk for those comments. And just a question for either Michelle or Ms. Rice. If we do want to move this forward to council with a positive recommendation, could we include somehow that, you know, we don't have a recommendation on the number of hours per week, and that would be left entirely to the council to make that determination? Is that unorthodox?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Hawk.
Just remind you that at one point in time, we got into a thing through the sheriff's department where they were going to change it from 35 to 40 hours, no whatever, going to be exempt or non-exempt. And we got in all kinds of trouble. We just don't want to go there again. We only make the decisions on the things that we're supposed to be deciding on. So.
Well, and I guess also I would like Ms. Titonia's input on that idea of, you know, we would move this on to council and then kind of leave it up to their decision of 35 to 40 hours.
I am asking for this to be a 40-hour position, mostly because once the rest of the highway admin staff move to the garage, this is going to be the sole position that will be in the office during our operating business hours. And so there's likely chance that myself, our inspector, Connie, will be out in the field, out doing other things. So that's one part of it. And then the workload, this workload is not going to be small and it's not going to ever go away. And I think to best serve our residents, people applying for permits, people who need information about permits, and the other tasks in that job description, it's, in my opinion, a very full workload. And I would really like this position to be there for the 40 hours per week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate the input there. And I think, you know, since that's going to be more of a kind of a budgetary discussion, I think will be good for the council to also weigh into that, given all of the what's going on with annexation and, you know, our new stormwater fee. There's a lot of variables involved here that could impact that. So, Mr. Chair, if it's okay, I'd like to make a motion that we, let me get this correct here, hold on. That we accept the WIS recommendation for the Highway Administrative Assistant Stormwater position, identified as Comet C FLSA non-exempt, and that we forward that to council and allow council to determine the required hours worked each week.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
And I will second. And with any position, it will be up to the council as to whether or not they think it can be worked in the budget. So it's not, that's not our job here.
Thank you. We've got a motion and a second. Further discussion on the floor. And I wanted to just add, go ahead, Michelle, please.
I just want to remind the PAC members that this is not a position to be filled for the remainder of this year.
Yeah, sure.
This is something that they requested in their 2022 budget. So when we do go forward with council, I will also make that clear too.
It's a good point. Very good point. I just wanted to say I appreciate the council members' comments on this leading up to it, and also the quickness with which WIS has worked to get this information back to us. This and the other recommendations today. Any other further discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Councilor Deckard,
Yes.
Councilor Spinmore,
I did not
Councilor
hear it.
Spinmore,
Yes.
Councilor Hawk.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
All right, thank you very much. That moves us, and thank you, Ms. Titonia. That moves us to communication manager, and I think that's going to fall now under Mr. Turner. And on any update from Michelle, go ahead. You're muted. And Kim, you're still muted.
We could do the communication manager and sign as a whole, if you like, because they were all submitted at one time to WIS. And this was due to certain job duties not being included. But if you would like to address them separately, you can do that as well. But I just wanted to give you that option.
Thank you very much. All right, and now, Toby Turner, Mr. Turner, do you have anything you want to add to the recommendations?
What we did was just kind of clean those up. There was some things that maybe WIS or we didn't make clear on the job descriptions on actually who was involved in snow plowing, and those positions can actually get up from what they're doing, and they have to plow snow as well and have CDL license. And those are things that we kind of cleaned up, and we was fine with the recommendations that WIS came back with, and everything looks good to us.
Okay. Those things will get real important here in the next few months, right?
Unfortunately, you're correct.
Past prologue. Questions or comments from council members? Seeing none. Councilor Spoonmore.
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find this. I'm having a hard time.
Since this one that they had, like one was a sign person, but they didn't give him credit for being a driver and
A truck driver as well, yes,
Right, right.
correct.
So what page in the packet is the recommendation?
It's a few different. So communication manager is going to be on page 8.
Okay, I'm way down at the wrong. Sorry.
And then fleet maintenance coordinator is going to be on page 12. And then sign highway repair starts at 16.
And if I can jump in here, I think what you have now better reflects the hierarchy that the highway department saw in their day-to-day work. And I think the original version that has since been corrected did not reflect that hierarchy. For example, again, there was a reference to a CDL requirement, but there were not the duties to support it. And that was just, I think, maybe a lack of communication between WIS and the department. So it's been rectified to show that there are duties, sort of being able to be called out to be a truck driver. That's actually happens. So that's now in the job description, and that supports that change. Also, the sign person in it has some additional paperwork to do that was not clearly reflected in the job description. So it took a little revision and more conversation between the department and WIS, but I think that what you have now is accurate and also matches what the highway department sees in their day-to-day life.
Correct.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rice.
Has WIS issued a recommendation on this?
Yes, and I just put it in the chat. It's on page 29 of
20, okay.
And let me ask you a clarifying question. This could be for Ms. Rice or Michelle. Can we offer, can the carrying motion for this just simply say that we're adopting the job descriptions as set out by WIS in this packet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Just the revised job descriptions, the one or this and WIS's recommendation, I would include that.
okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Councilor Hawk?
Yes, I just think this is clearly, it was a omission, was not included to begin with, and it was a part of when we sent it back, the information the department has, we asked them to review it and let us know if there was mistakes or anything they needed to notify us with, and the department head did notify us that that was in error. So I think this is a, slam bam.
Okay. Do we have a motion or?
Yes. I will move that we adopt the revised job descriptions as presented by WIS for the positions of communications manager, fleet maintenance coordinator, and sign repair person.
Thank you very much. We got a motion and we have a second from Councilor Hawk. Any further I'll open it up for discussion.
No, I didn't think you heard my second. Okay.
I got you. I know I did. I was watching for it. All right. If there's no further discussion, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Councilor Hawk,
Yes.
Councilor Spinmore,
Yes.
Councilor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Mr. Turner, very much. That'll take us now to item number 4. And as we begin item number 4, I want to note that this was another WIS discussion point in all the discussion points that we had. This is a discussion today. There, as I've indicated to a few other people, no action today, just discussion through this recommendation from the WIS report and for PAC members and potentially council later on to have things that they can consider along with departments, certainly that are assembled here and beyond. And so I'll just open this up. This is a review, discussion and review of the financial position or financial manager position recommendation that WIS had. And I'm going to open it up if Ms. Shell or Ms. Rice had comments related to this particular recommendation.
Want to start, Kim, or do you want me to start?
You can go ahead and start.
Okay. I will want Kim to weigh in after I get done, and if there's anybody from the auditor's office here who wants to weigh in. It's my understanding, and I think it's pretty clear from the report, that we have more financial management positions than any other county. We have created positions and embedded those into the departments. I think many of the departments are satisfied with that situation. WIS called it to our attention for PAC and for the council to determine if you want to keep that status quo or if you want to reduce the number of financial managers over time, perhaps through attrition and retirement, or however you guys determine the best way to do it. But to get back to a more traditional model with financial managers where they are housed in your main financial department, either the auditor's office or with the council office. I do believe that while the departments are satisfied for the most part with the status quo, I believe that Kim and the auditor's office sees concerns and problems with the status quo. Sometimes financial managers have been elevated in title and job duty, but it creates redundancies and extra work for Kim and for the auditor's office. So this is something that WIS is encouraging you to look at and see if there's a way for you to reduce the number of positions or solidify them so that the financial duties are more concentrated. Kim, do you want to weigh in?
I think Margie hit it right on the head. I can't speak for the auditor's office, but I do know that I do tend to get a lot of questions. People that are seeking guidance to me that have, as a financial manager, this is something that they should be able to do and work on. I feel that we don't have a consistency across the board when preparing documents because we have departments that like to do their own little thing. And so when we request information, we are not getting it so that it has to be pieced together on like my end or something like that. I do find it hard, like I said, because, you know, one department may do it one way and another department do it another. And I just find that having so many hands in the pot just creates a lot more work sometimes.
To follow up on that, you know, departments will tell you, I'm sure, that their budgets are complicated, that they have a lot of grants or they have a lot of different funds. Remember that all of the funds that we have, pretty much every county has as well. We may have more grants than some counties have, but in terms of the types of funds we have are pretty universal across the state of Indiana. So WIS's point was, I think you guys have made it more complicated than it needs to be. And you've grown your empires. And with that, you've grown some confusion. And as Kim says, some duplication. So there is no timeline for you guys to make these decisions. I would definitely recommend that you look into it though. But how you want to do that and when you want to do that is your call.
Thank you very much. I see hands from Councilor Spoonmore and then Hawk, so we'll start with Spoonmore.
Yes, thank you. So I am not okay with the status quo on this. I think that we need to commit ourselves to looking for solutions. And this is not something that I think is extremely urgent, and we need to take our time with coming up with a solution for this. But, you know, clearly this is not a best practice. And we've been told that by the experts that we work with and the consultants. I remember when we received this report and we were told this information, the question was asked, is this something that you see in other counties? And they say, no, you're the only ones who have a structure like this in place. And then I asked the question, is this a structure, maybe we're just being really innovative? Is this something that you would recommend for other counties to put into place? And they said, absolutely not. We would not recommend this to any other county to have this type of structure. So, you know, it's clear to me we need to do something. I think there's a better way. I know that there has to be a better way. We need to be looking at best practices. We need to be following the advice and guidance of the experts who do this every day. And so I hope that we can, the council can commit itself to finding that solution for Monroe County.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Hawk.
Yes. Is the auditor here today in the meeting? I see Brianna is, but I'm talking about the auditor.
Do not see the auditor, so to speak.
She is, I can't see who else involved
I
here.
don't believe she is.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
see her.
I would just say that I think the auditor should be here today. It's not up to Ms. Gregory to speak for the auditor. If we take these job duties out of the different departments, are we going to be told by the auditor, now we have to hire 2 or 3 more people and
Right.
I mean,
A
I
lot of
think
questions. Yeah.
big picture. And the auditor absolutely must be a part of the discussion.
That's a good point. I also want to add that I read this particular recommendation, and I do have questions about it and how it would be carefully implemented for departments that are very busy and functioning and doing things and have done things for reasons. I truly believe, as an ex-agency head, I know that things generally happen for reasons. And that's the amount of experience I got from that role. But we've had a lot of fruitful success in the past from getting input from departments over processes. And I would really welcome, at least for this counselor, I would welcome some comments that could be freely given if they wanted to be sent to me and to others on PAC, maybe even through Michelle, about how systems have developed, why they've developed that way, because truly, I think we all want to make sure that we're empowering departments to serve the people of Monroe County in the most efficient way possible. And I know that those two things don't always kind of hold hands in the same way. But I would love to hear some of that feedback if there was a way for us to solicit that, to get a little bit of input. And I know that maybe not everybody is comfortable with this public portion of that, but I think that if we could capture some of that feedback, it would be helpful beyond the input from the auditor. Other comments or questions on this? I did have one. WIS did not give us a timeline on this. It's just a recommendation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I guess I think I see, and I don't know if counselors have other thoughts. I see our next step as we need more information. We need I know that seems like that comes up a lot, but I think we need more candid input from departments and the auditor, because those are 2 huge equations. I've often made the point that council's not at counters manning departments, and council is not there making sure everyone's got what they need day-to-day basis, but we are an important function. And I think that some of that information could help fill in what we're sort of missing from this point. Any other thoughts on any of that?
I just will remind you guys, and we can resend it to you if you'd like. We did have WIS. They did an Excel spreadsheet showing when these positions have been added, the timeframes when they were added. And so that may help you to try to understand, sort of what the decisions were that were being made. They were largely added, I think, from about 2006 forward, which was a time when you really weren't heavily using Wagner, Irwin, Feely. And so they were quite surprised, I think, when they came in and looked at the financial managers. One of the things that we talked with them about, is yes, these jobs have to be done, but do they have to be done out in the departments, or can they be done in a more centralized way? When you have them out in the departments, the pro is that is people more specialized. They know more about the day-to-day operations. I think that knowledge could transfer back to a more centralized format. The downside of having it in the departments is it becomes a little bit more territorialized, if you will. People become, these are my dollars, and the thought of sort of like a general oversight of them is maybe a little more lost than if you if you haven't centralized it, or there's somebody looking at the big picture of all the funds, as opposed to looking at my funds in my department. And so that was one of the reasons I think that they recommended this. Also, Kim, I have talked to Kim and Kathy, and they both said they think fewer positions could do the same work. Kim, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that, but Kathy did say, you know, whether it was, and I think she would like them in her office. I think Kim would like them in a council office. So that decision would have to be made. But, you know, fewer people could probably do the same work. You'd have, much like you have attorneys assigned to departments or tech services employees assigned to departments, you would have financial managers assigned to departments. They could be cross-trained. And so people wouldn't be left in the lurch without the services. It would just be done a little differently.
Yes, I do believe that we could share some financial managers with regards to some departments and that kind of thing. This would also give an opportunity for things to be viewed and reviewed, you know, with a second set of eyes on some things. I do know, because I'm included in a email group with regards to payroll and this kind of thing. And we continually see, you know, corrections, you know, kind of thing. And so I believe having a second set of eyes on things is great. And I'm not sure if that's always happening within the departments, but that would be a practice if this was in a more controlled or less people, you know, kind of thing. I don't know. Within the auditor's office, you know, because that is their practice. Something does not get forwarded unless it's been seen at least twice. And, you know, and making corrections in payroll, and I can't speak for Jordan, the payroll administrator, but I do know that it does cause delays on his end when things like that happen. I can't speak with regards to the process of claims in the auditor's office, but I do know that they do have quite a few corrections that happen. And I just see that we need to be more efficient with our financial managers and maybe, you know, create better practices moving forward is what I would like to see.
Counselor Spoonmore.
Thank you. So the remind me, Michelle, WIS did say that they would work with us on identifying solutions, right? It would be at an additional cost in addition to what we've already spent on the classification study.
Yes, I think
if we wanted to, we don't have, I mean, obviously that's not our decision to make here, but that's a tool available to us.
That is a tool available that they could come in and do desk audits for the identified financial manager positions, that kind of thing, or however we want council would like for them to move forward. But yes, they are available for help.
Okay, Counselor Hawk.
Yes, just want to make sure that we don't do anything that would jeopardize our internal controls.
Exactly.
And so that's something we have to watch out for. So.
And that's what I was trying to stress is, you know, making sure that, you know, they work with the auditor, making sure things are double checked and that kind of thing before. So.
Okay. I see.
Because it is the
Whitmer.
internal controls.
Thank you. I see Kelly Whitmer's hand. Ms. Whitmer.
Whoops. Hello. I hope it's okay to speak on this matter.
Please.
I do understand Kim's point of view and Margie's point of view. The thing with departments that have boards, as ourselves, we have a park board, and I think Penny has a health board. We do a lot of finances for those boards, and also we take online payments. We work with the banks quite often. Plus, on internal controls, we actually find mistakes at the auditor's office happens in their office and vice versa. They find mistakes that we make. So if everything was at the auditor's office, I don't know how we would be able to find these mistakes in the future. So just keep those things in mind, and I can write out a document for you as Trent suggested.
Well, your comments are on record. We appreciate it very much. So I think we've got it, but for others, they can. And I'll invite other department heads that want to speak. Councilor Hawk.
Yes, and I do know that Miss Ridge is not able to be here today because she's at a funeral. But I think if she was here, she would speak to that highway budget is gigantic. I mean, huge. And if we didn't have that financial person there doing that in the highway, I mean, I just can't imagine what would happen. Now, you know, that's just because I've been witnessing that, so I have more hands-on knowledge of it. I can't really say that about all of the departments because you don't see them in action as much. So that's the reason why I think we do need to work with the departments to get some feedback. But we should understand that each and every one's going to say, I need this person, can't live without them. I mean, that's the way it works.
I see Penny Cottle's hand.
Yes, since you're going to let me speak, I will try to keep
Please.
it quick. And I agree, you know, every department, we all see the need that we have. I think that I appreciate that you want to look at this more closely because I honestly, I don't know what everybody else's financial manager's description looks like. We did look at highway and youth shelter when we were going through ours so that we could look at what we intended to be in ours. But certainly I know that, you know, we've had our person here just about a year, not quite, and they're still trying to learn all the ins and outs of the process and all the grants. Of course, we've had some extra grants with the pandemic and things like that, but we haven't even approached some of the pieces in that job description, including medical billing. So those are things that, you know, not just the claims for grants, but also monitoring the spending our side of that. And that is something that I don't think the auditor's office has ever been able to do in terms of really looking at what are all the deliverables in that grant, and are you spending that money exactly on the things you're supposed to be spending it on. I do think, even as you look at this, to really also think about how our budgets on the county side align with our state budgets, because there are some account lines, for example, that we are told to use here that then don't match at the state level. And so trying to figure out, oh, that's split at the county level, it's this over here on the state level. Those are little things that we have to deal with that I think the auditor's office would have to learn to deal with. And I appreciate that you're just wanting to look at it and take your time doing that. I will also say, when this came up, I've asked our health department managers group about their finances. And there are other health departments who have even divisions of finance. And I'm not talking about Marion County, because you just take them out of the mix. And it's all over the place. So there are certainly some, it's in the auditor's office, and then you know, the administrator and a vital records person or somebody else in the department is handling everything that the auditor isn't doing. But there are others who are certainly have people who are devoted to those things in their department. So if your report says no other counties have, that they're all in the auditor's office, that is incorrect.
Thank you.
I'll stop there, but I'll put my notes together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let me just clarify, I invite any department head here to speak now. I do want to say, and for those of you that have commented, you do not unless you have additional notes to add, you don't have to send us something. We have this on record here, but for those who do not wish to comment, you can certainly send us just your thoughts on that. I know sometimes I get some candid thoughts from folks. Any other department heads that would like to speak on this financial manager discussion point? I appreciate the input we've received so far. Any at all? Okay. Given that we've heard from two, and I suspect there's other thoughts, I will, if others have thoughts, if no one has thoughts, which I doubt, but if no one has thoughts, no need to follow up. But if you have thoughts, please send those to our council office. And specifically, Michelle, I see an iPhone with a raised hand. Can you identify yourself and speak to us?
This is Linda Brady, and I'm on an iPhone, so I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you. Thank you, Linda.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't really sure who they identified as financial managers because I don't have any position in my department called that. So I don't know. Is there a list someplace, the positions that they call financial managers, or if it's just in the name of the position?
We've got a list. Margie, is that something we can share with Linda and others?
Yep. I'll look for the Excel spreadsheet and we'll get it sent.
Yeah, we've got.
Yeah, because that would be helpful to know if it's positions. Because I know, for example, in our department, we've got 22 budgets that we manage, and so when they're looking at other counties, not every county writes a bunch of grants, and not every county is quite as grant dependent as we are. So I can understand WIS saying what they say. However, I do believe we're unique, and I know we are as a probation department, how much we're grant dependent. You will not find another probation department in the state who is this grant dependent. So they're making some judgment, which obviously that's what you pay them to do, but we are, I think, unique in some ways with how much we go after grants. So that's just my thought.
Thank you very much. We always get great things from our departments. Other comments? So we will be, if there are no other, and truly feel free to raise hand, but we will be in a position of just taking some information on this. Again, as I often say in these PAC meetings, and I suspect people kind of think it's hokey, we kind of all walk towards the door together holding hands and try to figure it out. And this is certainly one of those as we make the county and our departments as strong as possible with doing the best we can for the folks that we all serve together. Seeing nothing else on this item, we will again continue to take input. I'm going to go ahead and move us off of this on the agenda and move to our next item, which is, pardon me, I'm way down here on my list, which is going to be, again, the always controversial minutes. We have our minutes in our packet from September 7th, 2021, our last meeting. Hard to believe it's October, right? And I don't know if any counselors have comments on minutes or questions or motions. Counselor Hawk.
Can we just move back 1 minute? Because I have a question on something besides the minutes.
Sure.
Something I thought was on here as a list of something we were going to discuss.
Go right ahead. What are you seeing?
Okay, I thought we were going to discuss at some point the chief deputies and whether or not it was going to be 90-some% or would they still have longevity? Or, I mean, was that not a part of this discussion today? I thought that's what we were doing. Well, I certainly think we need to get that discussion going.
Well, to me, that's a financial, and that would be more of a council.
Well, then let's make sure we're talking about it. President Spoonwell. Okay, because I think we need to make
I
that.
thought we talked about that last night. And
Yeah, we had it. It was part of the presentation. this stuff as well.
But we
So-
so we're just going to put that together and talk about it some other time because we really didn't.
I
But
think-
anyway,
Spoon,
I
will
can
you
talk
kind of-
about this offline here with you
Yeah.
later.
We'll have another opportunity to discuss that on October 12th. And then, we have first reading, second reading of the budget on the 18th and 19th. So, I was hoping that we could get those comments and have some discussion about it last night. The information was presented to us, but we'll continue to.
We just didn't get it until
talk about it.
last minute,
So on this agenda, we do have minutes before. I know that's not the juicy topic we all want to discuss apparently, but does anyone have
Mr. Chair, move
a,
approval of summary minutes as presented from the September 7, 2021 meeting.
do we have a second on that? I'll second it. All right. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Counselor Spoonmore,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. And now PAC member comments. Anything that is on a PAC members' minds as they think about things before us or before the council? Seeing none, that will wrap us up. I appreciate everyone's work through this agenda today. A lot of things. I appreciate our department heads and all the input they've offered, input they will offer. That always helps us with all that we do. And we hope that what we do is also helping them. And I know some days we got to figure out all that together. So with that, nothing else, we will go ahead and adjourn this PAC meeting.